Dear students, today we shall learn a new topic, that is sources of history of medieval India. Or we can say that what all were the literary and archaeological sources of medieval Indian history. Dear students, as you know that sources are very pivotal to know the history. What is history? History is the record, is a chain of the events, and the sources are such type of things that maintain the correctness, accuracy, and preciseness of history. You can say that removes the mystery of our history. So, dear students, if we have a glance of our sources of history of medieval India, then we can come to know that the period of medieval Indian history is one of the most important period because of the several developments that took place in the field of architecture, religion, and culture. The medieval period also saw other religion come to India and had its impact on the people of India. The medieval part or medieval period began when the ancient age ended and several small kingdoms and dynasties rose to power. The medieval period is also referred to as post-classical era of Indian history and spanned from the 6th century to the 8th century. During the early medieval period, there were several wars among small regional kingdoms. In the late medieval period, India was invaded by Mughals, Turks, and Afghans, who then established their rule in India. At the end of the 15th century, we find that the Europeans established trade links with India, and by the middle of the 18th century, they were able to consolidate their power as a major political forces in the country. So this marked the end of the medieval period of the Indian history. So, as a matter of fact, a large number of sources are available to study the history of medieval India. These sources provide a great deal of information about the medieval times, the art and architecture, history and literature, agriculture and industry, commerce and trade, civilization, philosophy and religion. So these sources cover the socio-economic aspects of medieval India. The chief sources of history of medieval India include many things, where official records, historical accounts of the that is writers, or you can say historical accounts by foreign travelers, literary accounts, archaeological sources, and coins and inscriptions play a pivotal role to have the sources of medieval Indian history. Now, first of all, we shall come upon historical accounts of the writings of scholars on paper. A lot of information about medieval India can be gathered from the writings of many scholars, that is on the theme of history, that is babysat at contemporary chronicles. The famous Arab scholar Al-Biruni wrote chronicle called An Inquiry into India. It dealt with affairs of India when Sultan Mahmud invaded India. Another important work called Tawqat-e-Nasiri was written by Mirhaz-ud-Din Siraz. It narrates the story of Muslim India up to the 60s of the 13th century. Other contemporary chronicles include the works of Amir Khusro, that is Fatuhai Firoz Shahi by the Sultan himself, and Fatuh as-Salatin by Isami. Regarding the source materials, the Mughal period, the most remarkable works were the Akbarnama and Aini Akbari, written by Abul Fazal. Now, next sources we can come to know at historical accounts by foreign travelers. The earliest African traveler who visited Muslim India was Ibn Battuta. He came from Morocco. He has written a great book that named as Rehla. on travel furnishes details of the various aspects of the Tughlaq Shahi period. Another important traveler was Abdul Razak, who left us valuable information about the Vijayanagar kingdom. Now we shall have look on literary accounts. A lot of information about the period can also be obtained from memoirs and biographies. In the Sultanate period, Firoz Shah Tughlaq wrote his biography called Futuhat-e Firoz Shahi. Sultan Mahmud and Tamur had their own biographies. Chandwardai became famous for his lyrical ballad called Prithviraj Rasho about Prithviraj Chauhan and that is Muhammad Ghori. The most important memoirs and biographies of the Mughals India are the memoirs of Babur and Jahangir and biographical sketch of Humayun that we come to know about the Babur himself from Babur Nama. Actually, Babur Nama is known as Tujuke Babri, which is written in Turkish language. And Akbar Nama, that is written by Abul Fazal. Jahangir Nama, that is written by Jahangir himself, or known as Tujuke Jahangiri, that is in Persian language. Humayun Nama, that is in Persian language by his sister, that is Gulbadan Begum. Next come to archaeological sources. The monuments of the medieval period are important sources of information about the medieval Indian history. They are indispensable aid to proper understanding of the artist, cultural, and even economic history of medieval India. Now, coins and inscriptions. During this period, the Delhi Sultanate and Mughal India, various kinds of coins were introduced by the sultans or the Mughal emperors. From the standard of the metals used and from the engravings on them, it is quite possible to understand the economic condition of the time. Besides, these contain evidence relating to the year of accession, the extent of the dominion of the Islam, and the relation with the neighboring powers, and so forth. So, my dear students, we have glanced over the history of sources of history of medieval India. Now, we can have one special sources, that is literary sources of history of medieval India. In North India, in the early medieval period, Sanskrit continued to the language of literature. In this period, two famous works were written by writers of Kashmir. These were Katha Sadit Sagar by Shom Deva and Raj Tarangini by Kalhan. Raj Tarangini is a famous work because it is the first historical work which was written in India. Another famous literary work is Jayadeva's Gita Govinda. This poem version, written in Sanskrit, is one of the finest works of the medieval period of Indian history. Sanskrit also formed the basis for the development of another languages, Hindi. On the earliest works in an early form of Hindi is Prithviraj Rasho by Chandwardai. This work is all about the heroic acts, heroic deeds of Prithviraj Chauhan, one of the important rulers of the Rajput clan of medieval period. Bilhana was another important Sanskrit writer who wrote Vikramadeva Charita, which is a biography of Vikramaditya VI, who was a Chalukya king, who belonged to the Chalukya dynasty. So, in this manner, now this period also saw development of Dravidian language, and many writers and scholars wrote their works in the Dravidian language also. That is, Kaviraj Marga was a great Kannada work written by Nagarjuna. Adi Purana was written by Pampa. In this work, he described the life of the Jana Tirthankar Pampa. Pampa also wrote Vikrama Vijay, which was based on, that is, Mahabharata. The legendary history of the 16th Jain Tirthankar was written by, that is, Punna in Shanti Parva. Harna was also a Kannada writer and was contemporary of Pampa and Punna. He wrote the Ajit Puran, etc. So we can know that in the court of Delhi Sultanate, the language used was Persian. Persian historical works are written in several Turks who came to India. That is, Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi was written by, that is, Ziauddin Barni. The historical work gives an account of the rule of the Khiljis and Tughlaqs. Ziauddin Barni also wrote, that is, Fatwa-e Jahandari, which was a work on the political theory of the medieval times. Amir Khusro was perhaps the most important literary figure of the period, who saw the rule of, you can say, four rulers. He was a poet, musician, mystic, and a historian. Some of his works include Asika, Nu Sipra, that is Khazainul Futuh, etc. He also wrote several other poems. So we can say that Amir Khusro played a very pivotal role in having the knowledge of history, particularly, and in Persian language as the Persian. Hindi as a language of literature made advancements during Akbar's reign. Tulsidas and Kalidas were great writers and poets in his time and wrote several books and poems on theme of love. Dohas or couplets were written by Rahima in this period and are famous till date. So now we can have a glance over the chronicles. Chronicles provide the major source of medieval Indian history. The chronicles of medieval India that gives us information are discussed like Tarikh-e-Hind. Al-Biruni came to India as a traveler and took up service under Mahmud of Ghazni. Al-Biruni had a great knowledge of Arabic, Persian, medicine, logic, mathematics, etc. And he has written it in a very, very beautiful form. That is Tarikh-e-Firuz Shahi. Now, Ziauddin Biruni wrote Tarikh-e-Firuz Shahi, which states that life and career of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Biruni was a contemporary of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Therefore, in his works, we have a glance over the Tughlaq dynasty. Next is Masumi. Tarikh-e-Masumi or Tarikh-e-Sindh was written by the Muhammad Masum or Bhakkar. The book gives the details of the Arab conquest of Sindh and a detailed account of Sindh till the reign of Akbar. The book also gives a detailed account of how the land was conquered by Muhammad bin Qasim in 712 and the condition of Sindh before and after the Arab invasion. Now, Tajul Mashid was written by Hassan Nizami. The literary work holds great importance since it is the first historical work that gives details about the beginnings of the Muslim rule in India. The book provides details about the war technology used by Qutbuddin Aibak from 1192 AD to 1206 AD. This book also highlights the events of Iltutmish reign up to 1217 AD. Now, next is autobiography of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. The autobiography of Firoz Shah Tughlaq is also known as by the name of Futuhat-e-Firoz Shahi. That is a 32-page brochure that provides insight into the life, career, and military campaigns of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Next is Tujuke Mubarak Shahi. Tujuke Mubarak Shahi was written by, that is, Yahya bin Ahmad Sirhandi. This work is only work that gives details about the Sayyid dynasty. The work gives an account of the rise of the Gori dynasty and its conquest of northern India by the Turks. Next is Futuhai Salatin. Futuhai Salatin was written by Khwaja Abdullah Malik Islami. This book, written in AD 1349 to 1350, provides a detailed account of his Turkish rule in India. It gives details of the rule of Ghazni and also about the Tughlaq dynasty. Now, next coming to travel stories. Several travelers came to India during the medieval period. These travelers wrote their stories. These traveler stories are of great importance and provide a lot of information on the history of medieval India. Al-Biruni, a Turkish traveler, was one of the main travelers in India. He wrote the book Al-Biruni's India that provides us the information about the various rules of medieval Indian period and in the reign. Next was Niccolo Conti. After Niccolo Conti was Domingo Payas, then Barbu Shah and Abdul Razak. Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi, that is Ziauddin Biruni. Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi, that is Ziauddin Biruni, wrote Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi. It states that the life and career of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, that is, Biruni was a contemporary of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, Muhammad Tughlaq, and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So we are having all the books written by the great writers. So about the travel stories, we all have seen. So in other books, if you go through, then lots of books can be found as the historical work. In that historical works, Chachnama, the Chachnama is historical work of great importance. It gives the details about the Arab conquest of Sindh. Chachnama was originally written in Arabic and was later translated into Persian. The book throws light of Sindh before and after the invasion of Mughal Qasim. Next is Kitabul Yamini. Kitabul Yamini was written by, that is, Abu Nasir bin Muhammad al Zabr al Utbi. This literary work gives information about the reign of Sukhtugin and Mahmud of Ghazni up to 1020 AD. Next is Khazainul Futuh. Khazainul Futuh was written by Amir Khusro, who was a well-known poet, composer, and historian. He was a contemporary of almost all the rulers of the medieval Indian period till his death in AD 1325, and therefore his work throw light on the information about the period. Amir Khusro was an eyewitness to several incidents of the medieval period, so his works can be historically very, very effective. Next is Tajul Masir, was written by Hassan is Nizami. They describe the medieval era between 1192 and 1228 AD. The book provides insight into the life and career of Qutbuddin Aibar. Tabqat-e-Nasri, written by Minhajul Siraz, it was completed in 1260 AD, which gives us the main conquest of India by Mahmud Ghori. Next is Kitabul Rehla, or written by famous traveler Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta was that is Moorish traveler who came from Morocco, who traveled across northern Africa, Arabia, and Iran. He came to India in 1333 AD and stayed in India till 1342 AD. In his book, he has written about the period of Tughlaq dynasty, especially of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And his book is one of the greatest books found in Delhi's Sultanate. So we conclude by saying that it was through the sources of medieval period that we come to know the exact things of the medieval Indian history. It was through the sources that we can come to know about the art and architecture, literature, trade and commerce, civilization, and actually the whole efforts of Indian economy on those days. So sources play a very pivotal role in knowing the Indian history, particularly of medieval period. Languages also play a very major role in having the sources of Indian history better manner. Languages such as many books were written in Persian, Sanskrit, Arabic, Turkish, and so on. So some writers were from India, some were foreign writers, some were local writers also, and as a whole we can say that, to summarize, that due to the literary tastes of our own native scholars as well as foreign travelers, due to art and architecture, due to numismatic evidence, and due to lots of vivid accounts of the foreign travelers and also of the government gazettes, we have a glance over the history of medieval India, which was very pivotal, not for the study purpose, but also to locate our India as a whole. Thank you, all students, for patience listening.